Welcome back to the channel. So strength training is something I believe strongly in for martial artists to improve their performance. And I have quite a few videos about how I do my training in the gym. And I've had a lot of people ask me about doing a bodyweight style training session that you can do at home or you can do in the dojo without any equipment or very limited equipment at least. So this video today is going to go over a full body session in which you use your body weight only in order to develop muscle, get stronger, and improve your mobility alongside that. So how I'm going to put this together, this video today, is I'm going to break it up into body parts. So it'll be lower half or lower body, upper body, and the midsection. Okay, so you're going to be able to pick exercises from those areas and put them together into a program. And I'll also go over how that can be done towards the end of this video. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with the lower body, okay? Because we all know in martial arts, the power comes from the ground, the bottom half of your body. So I always like to start with legs in this kind of training session. So the first exercise from the lower half of the body or the legs is going to be a reverse lunge, okay? So I'm going to be having my hands maybe on my waist or up in front, wherever you feel comfortable. And I'm going to take my leg behind me, drop my knee close to the floor and drive back up. Okay, I can work the same leg over and over again, or I can alternate legs depending on how you prefer to do it. Okay, it doesn't matter as long as we get an equal number on each side. I have a slight preference to doing one leg then the other, because then we're kind of accumulating fatigue on the one leg without the rest between. So maybe I would prefer to do one leg at a time in two separate sets. Now, the reason I choose a split squat or a reverse lunge over a normal bodyweight squat is because of the limitations in resistance. So obviously our body weight is not great in relation to the strength of our legs. Squat, you can squat a lot of weight on your back. So what we're doing is we're taking our body weight and putting it onto one leg instead, okay? If you want, you can do a squat as well. I'll add that later on with a little twist, but I'll prefer to do single leg exercises when we're doing body weight for that reason. Okay, the next exercise is going to be an isolation movement for the quads specifically, okay? So the muscles on the front of the thigh, the ones that are responsible for extending the leg. This is called a sissy squat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to something for a bit of balance. And what I want to do is send my knees as far forwards as I can and keep my chest, my hips, and my knees all in one line. Okay, so I want to come this way, let my body come back, just holding on for balance. I'm not really pulling against that. Let the quads come into a full stretch. We'll get a nice stretch on the quads there. Then push back through the toes to come back up into a standing position. Okay, so that's one repetition there. So I'm coming down, knees forwards, all in a line. Okay, so I don't want to break this line by bringing my body like this. So I want to be here, send the knees forwards, nice stretch on the quads, push back up. Okay, press forwards and push back up. This is targeting the quads specifically, and it's kind of a substitute for leg extensions. Okay, which of course in the gym is easy enough to do, but at home is pretty much impossible without the equipment. If you find that too difficult and stressful on the knees, you can do a slightly easier version. Same kind of feeling. Knees are going to go forwards, but the body's going to stay upright. Okay, so we're here, still pushing through the toes to get back up. Okay, so what we're kind of doing here is just making a squat that is very isolated in the quads. Okay, so down here and then pushing through the toes to come back up. Okay, not a squat as such, because with a squat you'd keep your heels down and kind of drive through the glutes as well. There's more things involved. This is just purely isolating the quads. So like a regression or an easier version of the previous exercise is just to come down here onto the toes, feel like I'm pushing through the floor with the ball of my foot to get back up in order to return to the standing position. So that's 3 exercises so far. We have the reverse lunge, the sissy squat, and the regressed sissy squat as well. The next exercise for the lower body is going to come down to the floor. We've had 2 free movements that are quite anterior dominant, so the front side of the body dominant, quads mainly. So what we're going to do now is hit the glutes and the hamstrings with the next 2 exercises. So what I'm going to do is lay on my back, okay, get into a lying position. Please excuse the microphone. I think there's some feedback with it, but hopefully not too much. So from here, I want to plant my feet flat on the floor in front of me, and I want to drive my heels into the ground to raise my body into a hip thrust position. Okay, so I come down here and drive back up this way. Okay, so I'm pushing into the ground and coming down. I can kind of feel this in my hamstrings as well as my glutes. And to progress this motion, we can do one foot up in the air and do single leg hip thrusts. Okay, from that position. We can hold it in that top position for an isometric contraction if we want, for a set duration, or we can do sets and reps of that as we would with everything else. So that's going to hit the glutes and the hamstrings a little. The next exercise is going to also hit the hamstrings, and we're going to be using a foam roller. These used to be quite popular a few years ago. Not so much now, but a lot of people have them still. So what we can do is, again, get into that lying position that we started off with for the glute or hip thrust. So I'm going to lay on the floor with my feet on the roller. And I want to feel now like I'm replicating the leg curl that we were doing in the gym. So I want to pull my heel in towards my glutes, okay, like a hamstring curl, and keep the hips, again, same as the sissy squat, keep my feet, knees, hips in line, or sorry, knees and hips in line, and curl my feet towards myself. Okay, so extend and curl upwards this way. So again, I'm hitting the hamstrings now, really squeezing in. This is quite a good movement, quite a nice movement that requires very little weight. So we're here, pulling in, squeezing those hamstrings. To make this harder, and this will be quite difficult, is to go single leg. Okay, so pulling in, one leg at a time, hitting those hamstrings and extending back out. Try to take your time with this so we're not rushing. So from here, squeeze and press back out again. Full stretch. Squeeze the hamstrings, heels coming up and back out again. So there's your hamstring curls. So I did say that we will have a squat in this with a little bit of an adaptation. So what we're going to do is a squat jump. Okay, so we're going to come into our squat and drive up, trying to take it off the floor. You know, try and take off from the floor as much as possible. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send the hips back, heels down on the floor, toes pointed out a little bit in order for me to get into a good squat position, and drive up, taking off. Okay, so I want to try and get as much height as I can, explode from the ground, and obviously watch your head, make sure you've got space above you. But from here, hips back, and drive, soft landing afterwards. All right, so there is a list of lower body exercises that you can do. Now we're going to go on to the upper body, okay? And you will not be surprised that the first thing we're going to do is press ups, kind of the classic body weight exercise. I'm going to give you two versions of the press up though. So first of all, I want to set myself up so that my hands or my elbows make like an arrow shape, okay? So I don't want my elbows flared out to the side too much. I want them kind of here, diagonal, this way. Okay, so the angle I'm trying to get is this. So my elbows are just popped out to about 45 degrees from my body. So from here then, I'm going to send my arms, my elbows kind of back this way. Okay, driving up from there. Chest to the floor and push up. Working under control from there. Chest to the floor and drive back up every time. If the press up is too difficult, you can come down to your knees this way, but still make sure we maintain that straight position. Okay, we don't want to be doing anything like this where the head's coming down too much. I want to keep my hips and chest and back in line. I want to come down and push up from there, even if you're going from the knees. The second variation of that then is going to be a close grip or a close press up. You know, taking these ideas from the gym, from the weights, the kind of weighted exercises, and bringing them into body weight. So a closer grip position then would have the hands inside or just in line with the shoulders. And I want to then send my elbows back here. Okay, so this is going to isolate the triceps a little bit more. I want to be here, send my elbows close to my body, and push back up. It's similar to the sissy squats that we did earlier. You know, I'm going to sort of get the elbow right back to get a nice stretch on the triceps there. Taking the chest out of it a little bit. So from here, again, down, chest to the floor still, good stretch on the triceps, and push back up. Still working in that straight line. as martial artists, we can of course go onto the knuckles. For karate specifically, make sure we are on the first two knuckles, okay? These two fingers, these knuckles here. Keep a nice straight wrist alignment. And from here, we can come tuck in nice and close and push back up this way. Now, the back side of the upper body is quite difficult to hit with bodyweight exercises only, if we're talking about no equipment at least. I'm going to do the next exercise as a pull-up, okay? So if you have something you can do pull-ups from, that's ideal, but I'm going to give you another exercise for the back in a minute that will be an alternative that is, it's not as good, but it's something if we want to be hitting the back as well. Okay, so obviously pull-ups, want to be holding on to something, getting the body nice and straight, full extension, chest up to the bar, okay? Full extension at the bottom, chest up to the bar at the top, okay? Again, if you cannot do a full pull-up, you can work by first getting up onto the bar with a step or something and lowering yourself down slowly. So the second movement for the back is going to be a bit of an awkward one, but what we're trying to do is train this action. You know, the elbows coming back, pulling the scapula together, training the upper back, middle and upper back area, as well as the lats. So what I want to try and do from here is lay down on the floor. And now that idea then of pressing my elbows into the floor and creating that kind of bridge shape. Okay, so from there, it's quite awkward, but once you get the feeling, it should be okay. I want you to push your elbows to the ground and use that to keep you up. So I'm not doing it with the glutes like I was doing earlier. I'm pushing my elbows into the floor and squeezing my upper back to try to keep that elevated position. Okay. Now this one could be done as an isometric exercise where we hold it for time, or again you could do reps, sets and reps, but it's quite a difficult one. Maybe an isometric one would be probably better for this exercise. The next one for the back, again, it's going to hit the erector muscles in the back and some of the mid-back, etc. A little bit easier to set up. It's going to be a back extension. So we're going to lay it on our front. Hands are going to be by the side of our head. And I'm just going to raise my body off the ground, okay? Just from here, raise up, just a little off the ground. There's hardly any movement going on here. It's basically a crunch, but the opposite way around, okay? So I'm just extending my back from here. Raise and back down. What I like to do as well is to pull my scapula together with my arms as well. Raise, squeeze, and come down. Squeeze, and come down. Okay, so easy enough to set up, no equipment needed. Hits the upper, middle, and lower back. So that's a selection of upper body exercises now. So we've now got about 5 lower body and about 4 or 5 upper body exercises. So we're putting together now quite a list of exercises you can do to train at home without any equipment or without any gym. Now the next thing, we're going to just target the midsection slightly. So we're only going to do 2 exercises here, and it's going to be a sit-up or a crunch and a leg raise. So for the sit-ups or the crunches, we're going to do a crunch. I'm going to lay down again in the same position as we did for the hip thrust. And similar to the back extension, I'm simply going to just roll the top part of my body off the ground. Okay, so just up to my shoulders. I don't want to make a full sit up here necessarily. It's just simply rolling the upper back off of the floor, squeezing the abs, and coming back down again. As I come down, I kind of hollow out my stomach, make almost that vacuum shape with the abs there to try and stretch them out slightly, and then close them back up as I come back into that crunch this way. Okay, hollow the abs out, make it as flat as possible or low as possible, and then come back up, squeeze into that crunch there. Nice and controlled. I mean, you don't want to be going too quick and pumping these out too fast. Yeah, nice and slow. So open up the abdominals and then squeeze, hold that at the top, slowly come back down. The opposite then is a reverse crunch or a leg raise. So again, from a lying position, so I'm going to raise up and pop my hips off the ground. Raise up, pop my hips off the ground. Okay, so don't let the feet touch the floor yet. Come up straight, and then my pelvis is going to shoot upwards. From here, push up and back. Here, push up and back. Here, push up and back. Okay, so we're hitting kind of the lower abs there. My idea on that exercise is to try and get my pelvis turned upwards and pushed up to the ceiling. So we kind of got the opposite side. So we've got the crunch is raising the upper body. The reverse crunch or the leg raise is raising the lower body. So that's a selection of exercises now that's going to cover most of the body. There's obviously hundreds more exercises that I can't cover in the scope of this video. It'd be too long for a start. But what I've given you there is it's going to kind of cover the major areas of the body. Now, how do we put this together? You can either do them as we've done them there, upper, lower, and then put a midsection with both. So you could do, say, if you're doing 4 times a week, you could do maybe lower, upper, rest day, lower, upper, and then rest and start again. Or if you wanted to do the full body, you could do 3 times a week. You could do lower and upper together. So that's, a little bit of a longer session on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for example. So make sure those rest days are between similar or the same exercises. Another thing you can do is, if you're training them more than once a week, is to mix the exercises around. So I gave you a selection of exercises there. If you've got, for example, the squat jumps and the reverse lunges in one session, maybe the next session has hip thrusts and sissy squats in the other session, so you're kind of mixing it up to keep the body, keep it a bit fresh, so we're kind of giving it a different stimulus every other session or something like this. Now, in terms of sets and reps, body weight is a little bit harder because ideally for strength and muscle gain, we want to be keeping the reps relatively low, 5 to 10-ish sort of rep range there. With body weight, that's not going to be enough because 5 reps of press-ups is too low for most people. If 5 reps is your maximum, then of course it's going to be great for building strength. But if you can do 30 press-ups in a row, 5 is not going to do it for you. So what you can do then is maybe work more sets of, say, higher reps, So for press-ups, you could do maybe 4 or 5 sets of 20 press-ups. The squats or the reverse lunges, a similar kind of thing. Higher reps, build some of that muscular endurance, get the cardiovascular system working as well, and build strength alongside that. Just a quick mention for my partnership with Art Martial Clothing as well. I'm going to put a link in the bio to their clothing and martial arts inspired gear. Check them out. There's a link in the video description just below. So hopefully this video has been of use to you. If you want to add anything or you want to ask any questions, drop them in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done, and I'll see you in the next video.